Hello friends, and welcome back to Tales and Tales with Brittany. My name's Brittany and it is October 2nd, which means it is the start of Halloweekend. Halloweekend is a readathon that was created by Lexi of Books with Lexi. This is, I believe, her 4th year running it. This year is actually a lot different from previous years of the readathon. She's kind of remodeled it to be a board game based readathon that is kind of inspired by her board game Escape the TBR, but also a little bit inspired by Phasmophobia, in which we are going to, on each kind of long weekend, so from Thursday evening up until Sunday evening, we're going to be working on exploring one of each of these rooms in this little house. My goal for this readathon is that every weekend I want to complete one fall-based activity, want to listen to one of the Scared Sexy novellas, which is part of the Amazon Originals collections, and then make a decent amount of progress in one of my currently reading books. We are going to head on over to have a look at my footage where we had Sweet Mr. Bean choose the order that I am going to attempt to be going into each of these rooms. So it looks like Mr. Bean has decided that I'm going to be starting in the library, making my way into the bedroom, then I'll be heading on down into the kitchen, then I'll be heading into the living room, and finally finishing on up in the dining room on the last weekend before making my great escape. Let us start by making kind of our first set of rules. My goal will be to try to find the equipment, so try to find the flashlight, then I'm going to investigate the ghosts, and then I'm going to try to make my way on over to the bedroom. So I am going to be rolling a d6 to make my moves. Look at this lovely little dice that kind of looks like there's a little bit of blood in it, kind of. And then we also have this adorable Mr. Bean. He is going to be hunting some ghosts. He's probably not smart enough to be a Ghostbuster, but he's gonna do his best. Halloweekend roll number 1. We have a 6. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna stop there for the flashlight. Alrighty, I wonder what the prompt is for this little flashlight. Equipment: read a book with a light on the cover or make a fall-inspired item. I don't think I really have anything, at least on my current TBR, that has a source of light on the cover. So I think I might end up doing maybe a little bit of coloring at some point this weekend and color in one of my coloring pages that are a little bit more fall. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Then do the remaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Land on number 9. 9. Read a new release or do something to appreciate the season. And then for my new release, I'll definitely be using Beautiful Nightmare by the Scared Sexy collection. What could be more creepy than having a nightmare-esque creature come into your room? Monsters Inc. style, in the attempt to scare you. Let's do our second roll. Let's see what we get. Ooh. A 5. 1. We're going to investigate our ghost. Our little ghosty friend. Read a book that you can spell skull on the cover or get a spooky book. For little ghosty, you do have to pick a book where you can spell the word skull on the cover, so I have chosen The Night and the Moth. We'll see how much more progress I can make my way through this book. I am at about the 60% mark. You can spell skull. Technically, there is S in a best-selling author, K in knight, U in author for best-selling author, and then 2 L's happily in a row in Rachel Gillig's name. Definitely excited to continue on with this. This book especially gives me creepy gothic vibes. There's definitely a lot of things that happen. There is some deconstruction of religious trauma and things that end up happening in this book, and the method of dreaming that the diviners must do in this book. Gosh darn awful. Terrible things happen to these girls, and definitely excited to finish this on up. 2, 3, 4, 5. So we are going to start next weekend on roll number 11. Luckily, I do happen to have tomorrow off. I'm attending the wedding of a friend from university, so very excited for that. Very conveniently, it also is the release of Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, so definitely going to be spending a lot of tomorrow listening to that album, especially in the car, rather than getting much done reading-wise, and that's okay. I also plan to pick up kind of a fall drink to kind of treat myself tomorrow, as I do have a doctor's appointment early in the morning before I have to leave for the wedding. And then on Sunday, we have the very first off-campus live show for the off-campus series read-along run by Reading with Court. And luckily, I have read The Deal already, so didn't have to cram that in. But I'm currently having to cram in The Mistake. I am about an hour into that audiobook, really enjoying it, having a complete blast. I kind of forgot, despite only reading the Deal a few months ago, how horny these university kids are, that's for sure. But overall, enjoying kind of the premise so far, excited to continue on that, and so definitely I'm going to be binging that for the rest of the weekend. Luckily, that is only a 10-hour audiobook, so definitely should be able to finish it in time if I don't let myself get too distracted. I will also be listening and finishing up the audiobook of Beautiful Nightmare, which is the novella by Katie Robert in the Scared Sexy collection by Amazon Originals. Overall, I am really enjoying that. I am about 70% into that. Brief from 4 Paws and a Book describe Beautiful Nightmare as being Monsters, Inc., but make it smutty, and I definitely would agree with that description. So far, I'm only partway through one audiobook of 6, but I'm already finding myself enjoying this much more than I enjoyed the Christmas novella series last year. There were definitely some choices that were made in that Amazon original Christmas novella series. I only ended up liking 2 of them. All of the other ones were like 2 stars or below. Some very questionable choices were made, and I feel like if those questionable choices hadn't been made last year, would have definitely enjoyed them a lot more, and they probably would have been more well received. Not too much else planned for this weekend. Probably going to do some things around the house. Definitely got to do laundry, and overall just kind of enjoy my time. Overall just enjoy my time, listen to some Taylor Swift, attend some of the live events and the sprints for Halloweekend, and overall just enjoy the start of October. Hey, I'm feeling a little bit glam for a regular old Friday, but I am attending a wedding this afternoon at 4:30, and it is a 2-hour drive out of town, and there is 30 minutes between check-in time and then the time when the shuttle from the hotel to the wedding leaves, so not a lot of time to get ready. So had to get ready really early this morning, trying to fight with the urge to run my fingers through these curls. My hair usually falls flat from curls unless I leave them really, really tight at the beginning, so trying to make them last as long as possible. We shall see what ends up happening. I started my day, I had a early morning doctor's appointment, listened to the new album by Taylor Swift, The Life of a Showgirl. A little bit underwhelmed with it, listened through it, and it just felt like it was too short. After coming off of Tortured Poets Apartments and the anthology and having essentially a giant long album come out of that time, having an album of only 12 songs seems really, really short. So fingers crossed, and hoping that maybe some more kind of vault tracks drop, or something a little bit longer. Overall, a little underwhelmed. There are a few songs that are standing out to me. I did really like Cancelled, as well as Wishlist kind of on my first listen through. I think I'm probably going to end up really enjoying the album though. Overall, I find that there are kind of, even some of the albums that underwhelmed me a little bit have some of my all-time favorite songs on there, so definitely excited to kind of re-listen through. I've listened through it twice and I've already heard Life of the Showgirl on the radio once while I was at my doctor's appointment. So went to my doctor's appointment, got myself a lovely little fall themed drink. It was actually my first pumpkin spice of the season. I got a pumpkin spiced chai from Starbucks. It was delicious. Got myself ready, listened to a little bit of The Mistake by Elle Kennedy. Not the most spooky book, and I really forgot how spicy Elle Kennedy's books are, especially for, well, actually, definitely considering that they are kind of college age children. That explains why it's so spicy. But usually I do find a little bit of a disconnect since I am a little bit, not a little bit older, I am 33, so I was in college last about like 12 or so years ago, at least the age of the characters, so it just feels at times sometimes there's a bit of an age disconnect where all I can think of is that these are little children in my brain, and that they should not be doing spicy times in my brain. But luckily, at least overall, I was able to turn my brain off for the deal in regards to that, and was a little bit more open to it because, yeah. But overall, having a wonderful first weekend of Halloweekend, not doing too much very spooky, but just enjoying fall. My favorite time of year. It's going to be a wonderful drive. One of my favorite shirts. This shirt is from Pippi Post, which is an online small business, and it says, let's see, I read a lot, but I am so productive. It's an art. Well, it's Saturday, October 4th now. Overall, I had a wonderful time at the wedding yesterday. It was wonderful to see some friends, some of those friends I haven't seen in quite some time or even talked to in quite some time, so it was really great to kind of be able to see them in person. Kind of find sometimes as you age and you kind of live far away from people, you don't end up seeing them as much as you'd really like to. So I've listened through Taylor's new album, The Life of a Showgirl, a few different times already. Don't think I am going to be overly obsessed with this album. I do find it sometimes takes me a few listens in order to enjoy an album or kind of get what Taylor is trying to say with some of her songs. Ultimately, I do find kind of the more sad breakup-y songs to be a little more ones I tend to enjoy or feel while listening to, which is interesting despite being in a relatively happy and stable relationship. So sometimes, I guess when you're listening to Taylor, I sometimes just want to feel. But I'll definitely be adding some of the songs onto my kind of rotation of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, but I don't think it's going to be my favorite album ever. Is it going to be my least favorite album? Probably not. I don't tend to want to listen to much of her country albums very often, but I do think it's going to be a little bit lower on my list, and definitely not as high as some of her previous albums, that's for sure. I do have another Taylor Swift inspired shirt on in honor of the release this weekend. The top says "Long Live," and then the back, if I can get it into view, says "I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you." Do love this shirt. Definitely kind of a fun take, that's for sure. I do tend to really enjoy kind of songs with lyrics. I do tend to enjoy shirts with lyrics on them. Let's see, what else did we do? My brain almost feels like I haven't done that much today since coming home. We got home around noon, but I've finished one of the Scared Sexy novellas, Beautiful Nightmare by Katie Robert. Definitely agree with Brie of Four Paws in a Book. That is especially smutty, monstrous ink. Overall, I enjoyed it. Parts of it did feel a little bit rushed. I do get that it is kind of a short story for a short story collection, so there's not going to be long drawn out conversations that are happening in the book or like in the story, but I do wish it was maybe about 10 to 20 pages longer to have fleshed out a few different things a little bit more. I overall enjoyed it. I also decided to go through my TBR jar and I purged some of the books that I've either have already read or somehow I ended up having duplicates in there. I also ended up buying a ticket to Romance Invades the Canadian Rockies. I've never been to Alberta before, but one of my bookish friends did invite me out to tag along with her, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely need to set a little bit of money aside to save up for the flights and for any potential special editions that I may want to buy. But I've also started kind of curating a list of all of the authors that are attending so that I can hopefully read a few of their books before May to see which books I'm potentially interested in and who I want to kind of get in line for signings. And right now, Tori of Tori Between Pages is doing some sprints for Halloweekend, so I am kind of participating in that, kind of reading a little bit of The Mistake. I do have probably about 5 more hours of the audiobook to listen to by 2 o'clock tomorrow, so that's less than 24 hours to finish, but I am also working on editing a video. I had planned for this video to go up on Thursday, but I just did not have it in me to edit it earlier in this week, so it's definitely kind of a getting edited a little bit at a time, so my fingers are crossed to hopefully be able to get that up tomorrow. The great part about having a 3-day weekend is it's the 3rd extra day that you can feel like you can get a little bit more stuff done. And then overall for The Mistake, I am really enjoying it. I think at about the 60% mark. There has been a lot of miscommunication that's happened. It is just before 8 p.m. on Sunday night, and so that is the wrap of the first weekend of Halloweekend Readathon 2025. Overall, I really enjoyed myself this weekend. I finished reading Beautiful Nightmares by Katie Robert as part of the Scared Sexy collection. I finished reading The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, which is the 2nd book in the Off-Campus series. I started and made a fair bit of progress in the 3rd Vampire Academy book, Shadow Kissed. Did not make any progress at all in The Night and the Moss. That's definitely something I'm going to roll over kind of later into this week to see if I can finish that up, especially before starting on the 2nd weekend of Halloweekend. Luckily next weekend I do have a 3-day weekend, so not only do I start Halloweekend on the Thursday, I happen to also be off on the Monday, so I might extend it even a little bit longer and make my Halloweekend go up until Monday. I did also color in this adorable little piece. I went to a wedding on this weekend and spent a lot of times on sprints. I also bought some tickets to Romance Invades the Canadian Rockies for May 2026, and it's going to be my very first time visiting Banff. Very excited to meet up with my friend Tennille for that. It'll be my first time meeting kind of some of my bookish friends in real life, so I think it's going to definitely be a wonderful time. I definitely have not conquered the library yet, but hopefully I can make some progress throughout this week reading The Night and the Moth. And thank you so much for Lexi for putting on such a fun and flexible readathon. Let's go see if Mr. Bean wants to say goodbye. Oh, is your father down here? Okay, Mr. Bean, say bye, friends. Say happy Halloween. Oh. Oh. All right, Mr. Bean, say bye-bye, friends.